Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod, here to talk about the challenge, season 42, episode 4, titled Say It to My Face. Last week on the challenge, after the orange team slowly floated their way to a win, the blue team lost yet another member when Keanu flung Brad from elimination. Rumor has it, Brad is still flying through time and space as we speak. Before I dive in, links in the description to my Cutthroat playlist to catch up on my previous recaps. If you like the content, consider liking, subscribing, and commenting what you thought of the episode. Let's dive into it. Players are zooming into this episode on boats. We have Nelson and Kara as captains for blue, Leo and Cassidy for gray, and Will and Izzy for orange. They've pulled up on Cutthroat Island to play Infiltration Dive. Players will swim out to their docks, then dive down to collect underwater puzzle pieces. They have to swim through underwater stations to breathe. If they aren't able to swim through 2 underwater breathing stations and get their puzzle piece, they have to go back to the start. Once all players are through, the team will swim back to shore and unlock their prize chest. The winning team will be safe from elimination, and this will be a girls' elimination day. Nerys is worried heading into this. She pissed Leo off last week. Now he's captain. Will and Izzy feel blue has an advantage in this challenge because they only have 5 people to get through this. Letty is the best swimmer, telling us she's mermaid certified. She twerks on the platform. Nelson struggles with the swimming here and gets gassed out. Swimming into these breathing bubbles looks like a lot of fun. Will tells us this feels like his Marine Corps days. Sydney feels confident as always that her captains will protect her on this girls' day and target Nerys. Blue team is in the lead, almost done getting their 5 people, but Kara and Nelson both can't swim or find their air bubbles, especially Kara, who is pissing her team off, continuing to try and fail. Nelson takes off his leg and gets to the air bubble, but he panics and isn't able to find the next one. Nerys is also struggling for gray as Chris coaches her. In the end, orange gets all of their players to shore, opens their chest, and wins the daily and safety for Deb, Tori, Michelle, and Izzy, with captains Will and Izzy in charge for the week. Gray team got more players across overall, so they're in second. Their captains Leo and Cassidy will nominate 1 player, the rest of Gray will nominate another, and all of Blue will be eligible for elimination. Captain Leo tells us he is letting Cassidy make the decision, and Letty tells us it's time for the rookies to take charge of the blue team. But who cares about this? Players are finally going to the club where Leo and Cassidy disagree on how things should go. Leo wants Sydney and Nerys to be up for elimination and wants to protect his friend Adrian. Nerys joins them for a tense conversation where Leo tells Nerys he wants to protect Adrian. Nerys tells them the orange captains will not send Adrian in either way, so they should just nominate Adrian alongside Sydney and let Sydney go into elimination. Leo calls Sydney a good competitor, but also calls her a sorry ass bitch because she talks shit behind his back and won't say it to his face. Oop, he said the thing. Sydney is paranoid and trying to get herself out of elimination. She wants Izzy and Adrian to fight for her to convince Leo to nominate Nerys. Across the club, Josh asks Kara if she even wants to be there. He thinks she isn't playing hard and doesn't seem to want to be there. CT just thinks Kara is having a bad season and doesn't think it's fair for Josh to discredit everything Kara's done on a bad season since CT's been there himself. Annalie feels CT is protecting Kara and Bananas is protecting Letty, so she feels she's going into elimination. Kara breaks down, saying this time last year she was dealing with her mom having cancer and going through it with her ex. She's just got a lot going on. Nelson thinks Kara is acting like a rookie, and the rookies continue to accuse Kara of being a loser who doesn't want to compete. Say what you will about Kara, but I think accusing her of not caring about the challenge is crazy talk. Back at the Villa, we've got multiple showmances heating up, including a new development in Leo flirting with Annalie. Nerys tells us that Annalie's husband would not be happy about this. Corey continues to put the Mac on Izzy, but Corey tells us he's still trying to be respectful because he's got 2 baby mamas at home taking care of his kids. So Corey's apparently not allowed to hook up with Izzy because he needs to be respectful, but he can flirt with Izzy and tell her how bad he wants her, and somehow we all have our boundaries. Leo continues to flirt with Annalie and call her forbidden fruit temptation. She tells him she doesn't want him to stop. They hint that they want to run the final together and then after the final sneak away and find private time together. Annalie tells Leo that she is horny and Leo tells Annalie that he is erect. I really don't think that Annalie's husband will like this. Nerys was right about that. The next day, players jokingly grill Leo on his flirting and him not closing his legs to married women. CT makes a super secret spy phone. Nerys feels her friends don't have her back. She's stuck her neck out for Chris and now he doesn't want to talk to her. She feels her team is protecting Sydney over her. Tori calls CT's spy phone Alexander Graham Bell's prototype. They try to spy on Gray's nominations. At nominations, Leo and Cassidy choose to nominate Adrian because they know whoever their team votes for will get chosen over Adrian for elimination. The rest of the team votes between Nerys and Sydney. Tori and Nerys vote for Sydney, but Sydney, Chris, Adrian, and Keanu vote Nerys, so Nerys will be nominated. Nerys takes this time to tell Sydney she's the fakest bitch in the entire house who talks shit about everybody, and Nerys calls Keanu a coward with no balls for not warning her she was going in. Later, Nerys tells Adrian that Sydney talks shit about her, and Sydney turns the corner ready to fight and defend herself, but this fight fizzles out quickly because the players have to go to elimination. At the arena, we bring out Nerys and Adrian for Gray, and Annalie, Cara Maria, and Letty for Blue. Will and Izzy choose Nerys from Gray and Annalie from Blue to face off in this elimination. They'll be playing I've Got You Pegged. Players will have to pull their poles through their wall and sort them into holes in their puzzle pyramid so their poles are all level. The first player to complete their puzzle will win the elimination. They get started yanking their poles. Annalie tells us back home she yanks bales of hay, which will help her with this. Nerys clearly does not fling bales of hay back home. She's struggling to get her poles out of the wall. This elimination looks like it took a really long time. It had to be at least 30 minutes just to get the poles out of the wall. Annalie gets her poles out first and starts working on her puzzle. Michelle encourages Nerys to take a break from pulling the poles to work on her puzzle, which wasn't the best strategy, but Annalie was so far ahead. She was going to complete her puzzle before Nerys ever got those poles out of the wall. Ultimately, Annalie completes her puzzle and wins the elimination, so we lose Nerys here. What a loss it is. I can't have my girl out here going home early every time. We as a nation deserve more than this. We saw her come into the season with a lot of friends, but on her team, she was outnumbered. This week, without a friend in power on Orange to help her out, she gets sent to the Wolves. I wouldn't expect Gray to vote Sydney in and risk losing Sydney over Nerys, so the logic makes sense. I imagine this round was frustrating for Nerys and explains the frantic energy we saw this episode, but we got a good amount of drama from her this episode, showing a greatest hits of why we love her. She's proven to do better on an individual or duo season than big teams, and I'm still left clamoring for an X's season where Nerys and Horacio can go on a legendary tear. I will never get over Horace. Instead of choosing captains for next round, TJ changes the game up, telling the teams instead of choosing two captains, they're picking one captain for each team, and this will be permanent and affect the game. They'll choose the new captains at the next challenge. So that's where we end the episode. I'm not mad they're switching to one captain. Now everyone's been captain, so they've all seen what their competitors are like in power. Now it's time for an election. There was no need for two captains anyway, as the opposing gender captain held the power each week. Now I'm interested to see how the captains will make decisions, and more than that, how players potentially strategize to overthrow their captains to fight for power in their own teams. As for who I think the captains will be, on Blue, I think the rookies will take over and vote Josh the captain. On Gray, Chris already seems like the leader, and for Orange, probably a vet. I think they'll vote for Michelle. But that's all I have to say about this episode. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the episode, Nerys's elimination, and who do you think will be captains next week? If you liked the video, consider liking and subscribing. I'll be back next Wednesday with more challenge. Until next time, you know where to find me. Bye.